And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, we got a great show for you today. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. I do that every Monday through Friday. That part of this show stays the same. On today's show, we got some special segments. We're going to be with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate. We're doing a simulcast with John. We do that every Monday and Friday. Joe Hakos is off today, and we'll be also talking politics with John. We'll be obviously talking about last night's debate and probably much more. And today, filling in for our own David Garrett is Corey Freeberg. Corey is an attorney, specializes in workers' comp, but we're going to be dealing with those businesses that actually are trying to use Form 1099 for independent contractors, and they're getting themselves into some deep hot water. So Corey's going to be talking about that as well today. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. But first, I want you to know that at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 72 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? Before we get into in-depth news, what I'd like to do is I usually do, is I just want to encapsulate some of the news that's in there for you today, so you got an idea of what's going on. These are the 10 things to know for today, Friday, and your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And first up, Trump, again breaking all the rules. The candidate holds his own protest event to coincide with the final GOP debate before Monday's Iowa caucuses. And what occupiers of Oregon Refuge want from the feds. The last 4 members of the armed group say they'll leave the wildlife refuge if the federal law officers assure them they won't be arrested. And fresh warning on the Zika virus. We talked about this in depth yesterday with our own Sean Lefebvre. The illness is spreading explosively, and the Americas could see up to 4 million cases next year, health officials say. And the affluenza teen arrives in Texas. Ethan Couch is booked into a juvenile detention center after being deported from Mexico. And where Bernie Sanders' momentum could stall, the Democrat will likely falter if he can't win over the African-American voters in South Carolina. And the United States military aims to be more family-friendly. Defense Secretary Ash Carter intends to double the length of fully paid maternity leave for female service members, officials say. And a teacher at a California jail accused of aiding the escape. Nushafaran Ravagi, 44 years old, is suspected of providing maps to the 3 inmates and had some type of relationship with the alleged mastermind of the breakout, authorities said. Now, which uncomfortable reality Europe is facing? If the continent isn't going to welcome more than 1 million people a year, it will have to deport large numbers of them to countries plagued by social unrest and abject poverty. And Barbie is getting extreme makeover. Mattel says it'll start selling the famous dolls in 3 new body types: tall, curvy, and petite. And finally, why Peyton Manning is under a cloud. The Broncos quarterback enters the Super Bowl amid questions whether he received human growth hormone while he was rehabbing his shoulder for 4 seasons ago. Well, you know what? We said we were going to do this a little more in depth, and we're going to do that right now. So let's get to it. A treasure hunter disappears searching for $2 million in gold. An antiquities dealer who inspired tens of thousands to search for the Rocky Mountains for $2 million in hidden treasure now leads an increasingly desperate mission to find one of his fans. Forrest Finn has been flying out to chartered helicopters or planes searching remote stretches of the upper Rio Grande for any sign of Randy Bellew, now missing in the wild for more than 3 frigid weeks. Fellow treasure hunters are also searching for Bellew, who was last seen on January the 5th while trying to solve Finn's mystery. Every time we go out, and don't find Randy, it's discouraging, but we're not going to give up, Finn told the Associated Press. There are still places out there that I want to look. Finn, an eccentric 85-year-old from Santa Fe, has inspired a cult following since his announcement several years ago that he stashed a small bronze chest containing nearly $2 million of gold in jewelry and artifacts somewhere in the Rockies. He dropped clues to its whereabouts in a cryptic poem in his self-published memoir, The Thrill of the Chase. The hidden treasure has inspired thousands to search in vain, though, through remote corners of New Mexico, Yellowstone National Park, and elsewhere in the mountains. Treasure hunters share their experiences on blogs and brainstorm about the clues. The mystery has been featured by national media, igniting even more interest. Well, you know what? Too bad. I mean, it just seems like a dangerous thing, and people they're all looking to get something for nothing, right? Yeah, it just seems to be the way. Well, life at Zika epicenter, a struggle for afflicted family. Around the 5th month of her pregnancy, Danielle Fiera dos Santos fell ill with a high fever and angry red blotches on her skin. She soon recovered, but weeks later when she went to the hospital for a prenatal exam, the news was horrific. The baby she was carrying likely had a severe brain injury. When Juan Pedro Campos de Santos came into the world in December, the circumference of his head was just 26 centimeters, about 20% smaller than normal. Santos was never diagnosed with Zika, but she blames the virus for her son's defect and for the terrible toll that it's taken on her life. Living in Recife, in the northeastern state of Pernambuco, she is at the epicenter of the Zika outbreak, and Pedro is among 3,400 suspected cases of microcephaly that may be connected to the virus, though no link has yet been proven. You know, we haven't heard the end of that. That's going to be horrible. It could very well become a pandemic. We've got to be really, really careful on it. Here's some big news. It's a news break. The United States declares 22 Clinton emails top secret. The Obama administration confirmed for the first time today that Hillary Clinton's home server contained closely guarded government secrets, censoring 22 emails that contain material requiring one of the highest levels of classification. The revelation comes 3 days before Clinton competes in the Iowa presidential caucuses. State Department officials also said the agency's diplomatic, security, and intelligence and research bureaus are investigating if any of the information was classified at the time of the transmission, going to the heart of Clinton's defense of her email practices. The department will release its next batch of emails from her time as Secretary of State later Friday. But the Associated Press learns 7 email chains are being withheld in full for containing top-secret information. The 37 pages include messages a key intelligence official recently said concerned special access programs, highly restricted, classified material that could point to confidential sources or clandestine programs like drone strikes. Boy, it looks like this is going to get nasty. You know what? She could very well get indicted here. This is bad stuff, and not a good time for her to have this come up. Now, don't go away. When we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk about Cruz and Clinton feel pressure in the final stretch, and I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know, I told you Cruz and Clinton feel pressure in the final stretch. Lagging Republicans struggled to climb higher in their crowded field, while Hillary Clinton faced more email troubles today as the presidential contenders barreled toward a final weekend of campaigning before Iowa's crucial caucuses. Most of the candidates were scattered across Iowa in a last-chance try to gin up enthusiasm, sharpen attacks, and set expectations, all part of efforts to emerge from Monday's voting with momentum and a slice of the spotlight. Some were also burdened with playing defense. Clinton's campaign tried to deflect fresh suggestions that the former Secretary of State's use of a private email server for government business may have posed a security risk. The news heightened some Democrats' fears that the email controversy could dog their front runner well into this year's campaign. Well, on the Republican side, Ted Cruz found himself a prime target for a field that long ago let go of any hopes of coming in first in Iowa. With Donald Trump seeming secure in the lead, the fight for second or third or just better than expected was underway. In that second-tier fight, all the knives were out for Cruz, whose campaign as the one true conservative in the race. Well, I don't know that that's the case, but who knows? Well, this is what the authorities are reporting now. One of 3 fugitive inmates are arrested in California. Police arrested one of 3 violent fugitive inmates today after he told a woman in the same city where the jailbreak occurred a week ago that he wanted to surrender, authorities said. And the other 2 men remained at large. Bak Dong, 43, was taken into custody in Santa Ana, where the trio made their brazen escape on January 22nd from the maximum security facility, Orange County Sheriff Sandra Hutchins said. Lee Tran, an owner of Auto Electric Rebuilders, said Dong came into the shop looking for Tran's sister, Teresa, and told her that he wanted to turn himself in. Tran says his sister called 911, and Dong went outside to smoke a cigarette and wait for police to arrive. He says his sister's boyfriend knows Dong and that marshals had come by to speak with her earlier this week because she might have visited Dong in jail. Shortly after the late morning arrest, a team of well-armed officers in protective vests swarmed the business. Yeah, I would think so, right? Absolutely. Well, here's one for you. Iran flies unarmed military drone over a United States aircraft carrier. Iran flew a surveillance drone over a U.S. aircraft carrier and published video of the encounter today, the latest in a series of edgy naval incidents between the two countries in the Persian Gulf after the recent nuclear deal. While the U.S. Navy stressed it knew the drone was unarmed and the flyover didn't interrupt U.S. operations in the war against the Islamic State group, the incident underlined the continued tension over control of waterways crucial to global oil supplies. It follows a rocket test last month by the Islamic Republic near coalition warships and commercial traffic, as well as Iran's brief capture of American sailors who stayed strayed into its territorial waters. Iranian state television and the semi-official Far News agency, which has close ties to the Revolutionary Guard, published identical images today. Both said came from the drone. The footage, which the Associated Press could not independently verify, purported to show the drone being launched and then hovering over an unidentified aircraft carrier, a targeting bracket briefly passing over a jet parked on the deck below. You know what? I don't think it's a good idea for them to antagonize us. It just doesn't seem like a really good idea to me. Does it to you? No, I don't think so. Well, unhosted Syria peace talks get off to a shaky start. I found something
on the web about it's her or straight into it.
Well, you know what? You're not going to believe this. Syria was getting in my way here. In any event, here we go. The Syria peace talks get off to a shaky start. Peace talks aimed at ending Syria's 5-year civil war got off to a shaky and chaotic start today, with the main opposition group at first boycotting the session, then later agreeing to meet with UN officials while still insisting it would not negotiate. That small commitment by the group known as the Higher Negotiating Committee came just minutes before UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura met with a delegation representing the government of President Bashar Assad. The developments gave a glimmer of hope that peace efforts in Syria might actually get off the ground for the first time since two earlier rounds of negotiations collapsed in 2014. You know what? The conflict has killed at least 250,000 people, forced millions to flee the country, and given an opening to the Islamic State group to capture territory in Syria and Iraq. It has drawn in U.S. and Russia as well as regional powers such as Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. You know what? And that doesn't get any better either, does it? No, absolutely not. Well, let's see here. How about this? Prosecutors use the refuge occupiers' own words against them. Aman Bunde and his followers made ample use of social media and videos to summon armed recruits to join their takeover of a wildlife refuge and to declare their readiness to stand their ground. Now, federal authorities are using the occupiers' own words against them. 2 criminal complaints unsealed this week against the 11 protesters under arrest show that FBI agents have carefully scrutinized social media postings, interviews, and online talk shows that were broadcast from the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge during the siege that began nearly a month ago. 4 holdouts continue to occupy the refuge in a snowy high country near Burns. Today, they posted a YouTube video demanding pardons for everyone involved in the occupation. A speaker believed to be David Fry said he asked the FBI whether it was possible to get out of here without charges, but they keep saying that's not possible. Bundy and several others jailed leaders were due to appear in federal court in Portland on today to answer charges that they used force or intimidation to prevent government employees at the refuge from carrying out their duties. Well, don't go away, because coming up next in our next block is going to be the IRS loses. In the first case, a criminal fraud isn't tax fraud. And I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS losers. We got some great cases today. Let's start off with this one. Criminal fraud isn't tax fraud. Here's the deal. An IRS employee who was a compulsive gambler deceived friends into giving him more than $75,000 by saying that he could invest their money for a guaranteed 30% return using fake investment statements to convince them of his facts. Sounds like Bernie Madoff, doesn't it? He gambled the money away and ultimately pleaded guilty to criminal fraud. Now, the IRS then assessed tax fraud penalties against him for not reporting the $75,000 as income, saying that as an IRS employee, he surely knew that it was taxable to him. He protested with the tax court. This is what the judge said. Tax fraud requires active steps to conceal income from the IRS or otherwise mislead it. Merely underreporting income, as here, is not tax fraud, so the penalties are lifted. And by the way, those are steep penalties. It's 50% of the tax owed. That's a big deal, you know? So you don't want to fool around with that. Here's another case the IRS lost. A wife escapes $2.8 million of joint return taxes. Here's the story. Ronald Campbell handled the family finances for his wife, Phyllis, and aggressively traded commodities, including through accounts that he opened in her name. These made up to $3 million one year in profit, but then the markets turned against Ronald, and the illegal tax shelter investment that he made created a $2.8 million tax bill on their joint return. Phyllis then objected that she had never even seen the account statements mailed to her, and this is what the court said. Imposing a tax liability of more than $2.8 million as a result of a disallowed transaction of which petitioner had no actual or constructive knowledge would be extremely inequitable, so she escapes that tax. I mean, think about it. Tax on almost $3 million? Wow. Big deal. Here's one the IRS says they lost. Can't prove a value of a gift that was made 26 years ago. Here's the case. The IRS tried to impose gift tax on shares in a private company that were given to Gordon Davenport by his Aunt Bernie in 1980. It could do so because no gift tax was paid at the time, and the lack of the gift tax return kept the normal 3-year statute of limitations from running. This is what the court said. The IRS could not prove the value of the shares in 1980. Stock transactions made after 1980 were inadmissible as to their 1980 value, and a recently found 1979 stipulation of share value made to settle another family member's estate tax case could, under state law, be used only in that case, not in this one decades later. So, the IRS case, you got it, it's dismissed. You got to love that, right? Well, here we are, where I tell you all the time, wouldn't you like to be a wall or a fly on the wall when the IRS is making decisions and planning things? Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. Yeah, this sounds a little bit like the Twilight Zone, but it should sound a little bit like the Twilight Zone because, you know what, when the IRS is doing stuff, they are sort of in Never Never Land. Let's talk about this. Is not a tax court case, but these are precedents that were set out and things that the IRS is doing. First up is, what are the chances of going to jail for tax fraud? You ever think about that? Hopefully not. According to the most recent IRS statistics, criminal tax charges were filed against only 1,036 individuals during the whole year last year. Considering the millions of tax returns filed each year, the odds of actually going to jail for cheating the IRS are minuscule. But you better be careful. The IRS, under the guidance of the current commissioner, plans to enhance its enforcement programs. More staff will be hired to conduct more audits. In past years, money that should have been devoted to increasing audit staff was diverted into computer modernization programs. You know, that's a scary thought, too, if you think about it. How about this? Good news from the IRS if you're a member of a limited liability company. That's an LLC. You know, an LLC is an entity created under state law. Now, it is classified as a partnership for federal income tax purposes unless called members are generally not, unless the members elect corporate tax treatment. The owners of an LLC, called members, are generally not personally liable for the company's debt, just like shareholders of a corporation. Until recently, there was some confusion at the IRS as to whether members of an LLC could be held personally liable for unpaid payroll taxes. The IRS has issued Revenue Ruling 2004-41, which concludes that if the members of an LLC are not liable for debts of the LLC under state law, then they will not be personally liable for unpaid payroll taxes. But you better be careful. If the LLC distributes cash or property to its members and owes the IRS payroll taxes, the IRS will go after the members personally. So you want to be a little careful before you guys start doing those things. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be talking to our own John Matthews with this conservative syndicate. We do a simulcast with John every Monday and Friday. And so he's going to be with us, I think, in about 5 minutes, actually. So we've got about, I've actually got about 5.5 minutes that I have to kill here. So basically, you know what? I think what we'll do is to go for our commercial break, and then I'll just talk to you personally about taxes and things like that when we come back until John calls in for our simulcast. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 72 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 49 degrees. And you know what? If you're one of our many listeners that are in New York City, I want you to know that at 6:33 p.m. Right now, it's 38 degrees and overcast. Hey, folks, that's chilly. That's cold, you know. Now, just so you'll know, we're actually waiting. Got another minute or so before our good buddy John Matthews calls in. We do a simulcast with John every Monday and Friday. Generally, we have Joe Hakos with us too. We pick up a number of extra stations when we do that. We pick up the Pundit Press, PNN Talk Radio, and SHR Media Radio with the Conservative Syndicate and all the other stations that they're on. And so we actually enjoy doing this. This is our time to really talk in-depth politics. Nobody knows politics better than our own John Matthews. The man is just on top of it. You know what? We don't always agree, but you know what? We always respect each other's opinion, and I think that's the best way for this always to go. John will be calling us in about 15 seconds or so if he's on time. You know what? He's got a radio show going live right now, the same time that we do, and sometimes coordinating that can be a little more difficult. You know what? But we've got a great show coming up, too, by the way, after the segments here with John. Corey Freeberg is going to be filling in for our own David Garrett on the law. And Corey's a managing partner of the Freeberg Law Offices, as well as the counsel for Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett, and the Bristol, Haynes, and Associates. He's a licensed California attorney and Arizona attorney, so you know what? It should be really an interesting opportunity talking to him. Well, our own buddy John should be calling in any second here, unless he's having technical problems, which usually is not the case. He's running a little over. He should have called in about 30 seconds ago, but he will. And we're going to talk about, I'm sure we're going to talk about the debate last night, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton. And here's our John. And we're with John Matthews and his conservative syndicate doing our simulcast. Hey, John, welcome aboard.
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
Hey, I'm doing good. Boy, you know what? You talk about an exciting time in politics, John. Holy mackerel. You know what? This morning they're talking about your good buddy Hillary Clinton being indicted. 22 of her emails were top secret at the highest level.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been talking about this for a while, and I think what people really need to understand about the email situation with Hillary Clinton, this is first and foremost, this, if you understand this one concept regarding classified information, then everything falls into place, and all the rhetoric, all the spin, everything comes into clear view, crystal clear. Classified information is classified at the moment it is originated, not the markings, not anything else. Somebody is told something that's top secret, it immediately becomes classified information. It does not matter if it's marked. It does not matter how it's disseminated. The information itself is what makes it classified. So the claim by the Clinton camp that, none of this stuff was marked classified, when we just found out a few days ago, people on her staff were actually taking the classifications off. So that they could send this to her private server. The SAP information, this top secret SAP.
Let me ask you this, John. Is this something that she just loses? She loses the election over, I'm assuming. But can she go to jail for this?
Oh, she certainly can. She certainly can. She can go down the same path. In fact, I'll share the story with you. I did it here in the show here.
Yeah.
When I was in the Navy, I was what they call a anti-submarine warfare operator. And I had a secret clearance. And the information that we were given revolved around capabilities, tactics, and platforms in terms of how submarines were constructed and what they could do. This is all secret information. You couldn't even study the stuff you had to study it in a vault. You couldn't even, you couldn't take the stuff home and study it. You had to sit in a vault to have access to this stuff. And during my training, during my second phase of training, one of the guys in my unit snuck some information out of the vault on cue cards so he could study in his bunk. And that information was found by the fire marshal that was coming through doing fire inspections. They come in every night at 11 o'clock, come through the barracks, make sure the trash cans are emptied and everything else. And they found these cards laying on his bed. He did 10 years in Leavenworth.
Wow.
Okay, and that was secret information. Now we're talking about top secret access stuff where only 2 to 3 people are even supposed to be given access to it. And this is passed through at least 7 email accounts into Hillary's server. So this is major stuff. This is stuff that blocks people up and puts them away. Yes.
Yeah, and the report that I saw in the Associated Press today said that there were at least 22 emails and numerous pages of them that they couldn't even say what they were about. They were so secret.
Right, and then when you get into the secret access part of this, I believe there's 3 to 7 of those emails at the highest level, meaning that information had to have been pulled off a secure server, declassified by taking the markings off of it to be transferred to a private server. So that means somebody and her staff, that should have been, stuff coming through that type of clearance should have been for her eyes only, period. Nobody should.
Well, now the FBI is doing an active investigation. They're going to have to call her in at some point. Do you think that this is enough that she will lose the Iowa caucus to Bernie Sanders on Monday?
Well, I think that remains to be seen here because, you have to, the Gruber theorem is in play here, the stupidity of the American voters. So whether or not it plays out in Iowa remains to be seen. I think she's got more of a problem with the fact that Sanders is surging in popularity right now more than her issues with email. But I do believe that coming down the line here, when we start getting into the later caucuses in the middle of February, you start getting into like South Carolina and Nevada, that time something's got to be coming down from the FBI because the FBI is in a very difficult situation right now. They either brush this thing under the carpet and lose all credibility as an agency, or they at least go to the DOJ and say, we recommend that she be indicted on these charges. At what point now it falls into the Obama camp, whether they're going to go along with it or not. Now, they may not. They may, Obama may try to delay this thing until after he's out of office. But the point being, at that point, I believe it will then make its way into the court of public opinion. And that, at that point in time, Hillary's got even more problems than she's got now. And we were talking yesterday about the distinct possibility that what we may be looking at is the first time in history that we have two brokered conventions from both parties to pick their candidates.
And listen, there is a chance, I'm thinking, that all of this could go on for a long, long time. The election could take place. She could be elected president and then impeached and imprisoned over this, right? After the presidency.
Yeah, if she is indeed indicted and tried for security breaches, she and anybody else involved, meaning Human Abedin, Cheryl Mills, Jake Sullivan, all these people who are in the mix here, every one of those people are up on the same charges.
Wow. Boy, what a mess. What a mess. But you know what? I got to tell you, and I'm an old son of a gun, but I got to tell you, this is probably the most exciting presidential season or the election season that I've ever witnessed. I think this is phenomenal.
Oh, there are parts of it that I would agree with you. There's parts of it where I'm just like, this is so cool because everything is being exposed to such a level of the corruption, the partisanship, the backroom deals, the campaigns, the money, all this stuff is coming out one way or another in one place or another. The sad part of it is that we're finding out that this has been going on for quite a while. Yeah. And you know what? And you've actually said it a lot of times. Isn't it unfortunate? That's not unfortunate. It is horrible that our own government isn't on top of this, or if they are, that they just pull the wool over our eyes so we can't see what's going on within our own government. I am just absolutely incensed over this thing. You know what? Let's not talk about Hillary and Bernie. Let's talk about the debate last night. Did you happen to? Which one did you watch? Did you watch the Republican debate or did you watch Trump raising money? No, I watched the main debate later. That came on later in the evening, the main one, because we were on the air when the undercard took place, which. That to me is a waste of time anyway. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for some of the people on the undercard. I like Rick Santorum. I like Mike Huckabee. There's things about Carly Fiorina that I like. Not a lot of things, but there's the things I do like, I like very much. Yeah. But these guys should be gone by now. And so I didn't see the importance of following anything they have to say. In fact, one of the indicators, one of the telltale signs here of desperation is that Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee both showed up at Trump's rally. Yeah. You know what? I didn't see the debate. I was just sick of it, the whole thing. Something that Trump said that actually hit a nerve with me, and that was, you know what a fiasco it is for somebody who's running, with 40% of the popular vote here, or Republican GOP polls, has to actually debate with people who have a negative poll and 1 or 2%. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'd like to have the top three guys up there and have them really debate what the heck's going on in the world. It really ought to be, Trump and Cruz and Rubio. Those are the only ones that actually should be on that stage. Although. You don't want to cut people out of there, but it seems to me that nobody else is going to actually get into this thing. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool, I think that Trump did and I expect you
to tell me I'm wrong at some point. I think he absolutely did the right thing by shoving it back in Fox's face and being insulting to him. Look at what they did to Cruz last night, for Pete's sake. So, it seems to me that it was a better thing to have this thing for the veterans. They raised over $6 million. You know what they didn't tell you is Donald Trump put in $1 million. His good buddies, there were 4 other people that put in $1 million apiece, and the rest of the $1 million was actually through donations. But you know what? He still did a doggone good thing. And 16 veterans organizations are going to share that $6 million.
Well, one of the things that people really need to understand about this particular thing, the veterans groups that Donald Trump was, raving about yesterday that he was supporting, and all this money was going to go to all these veterans organizations, most of them have said, we don't want the money. Most of them come out and publicly said, we don't want this. They're upset that Trump, one, is using them politically. That's what they're saying, is you're using us to garner attention. And second, we're not really, we think you should have shown up at the debate. See, there's some of the big groups out there are saying, no, we don't want your money.
I actually saw an interview with the head of this coalition for all these veterans groups, and he did say that he didn't want the money. He didn't want to politicize this thing. It's hard for me to say to the veterans, don't take $6 million, but I guess it's a drop in a bucket compared to what they need and what's going on. And they shouldn't be politicizing it that way. And I can understand that the veterans organizations don't want to be singled out by one particular political, faction. So I understand that too. But I feel so, you and I have talked about that so often. I'm just absolutely horribly disappointed in our government and the way that they treat our vets.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I do have a couple of comments I would like to make about Cruz. I got to go to my commercial breaks on my side here. When I get back, a couple of things. Cruz disappointed me last night, and I want to point out why. Okay. Because he's missed some very good opportunities. He's gaffed them up pretty bad. So as soon as we get back from our commercials, we're right now on Robert Cardoza Live. We'll run our commercials, and then we'll be back.
And we'll be right back with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate Corner. Don't go away, folks. We've got a great conversation going on, and we'll be right back with John Matthews.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay.
One of the things I get from a lot of people who listen to me is my ability to just come off the top of my head and say something when somebody throws something at me. I can come back with a good joke or something like that, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess I would expect something like that out of Cruz, who is 10 times smarter than I am. That.
Well, he has always done really well. It looked like when he was doing all these meetings, these clashes and things, he does really, really well. And then to see him get a little tongue tied is not usually what you would see. But I could see somebody hit his, Megyn Kelly hit his hot button, because it looked like Fox decided that they wanted to persecute him since Trump wasn't there to do it to.
Well, for instance, last night, his best line of the night was actually his opening line, where he stood up there and, Megyn Kelly asked him about Trump. Trump's not here. We want to get a response. See, that he had to know the moderators were going to come at him and start back into their let's get you guys, fighting between yourselves kind of thing.
Yeah.
And his response, well, let me say that I'm a maniac and everyone on this stage is stupid, fat, and ugly. And Ben, you're a terrible surgeon. And now that we've gotten the Donald Trump portion out of the way, let me thank all the people coming here, taking the time to come. And he was talking to the other candidates on the stage. You showed up, and we're trying to show the American people who would be the best president. That was a decent response. It should have been more direct. Rubio was the one that nailed it. Rubio, when his opening statement was, let's begin by being clear what this campaign about. It's not about Donald Trump. See, that's the right response.
Yeah.
Cruz tried to be a little bit funny with it, and it half worked. I chuckled at it. Everybody laughed at it, but it was still kind of taking yourself down to the level of Donald Trump.
But you know what? And not just Fox, but primarily Fox, but all of the networks that have been hosting these debates, every one of them seems to be taking these in a direction away from getting the candidates to talk about policies and issues. They get them to talk about each other, and they poison they stir the pot, right? And it's the network's fault for doing that. They drive them in that direction, and I think that that's a disservice to the people that are actually watching those networks trying to learn something about the candidates.
Well, obviously, and that's the whole thing is that, and that was one of the other mistakes Cruz made. He tried to regurgitate his response to Megyn Kelly. You could tell they were trying to pit each other against each other again. And it worked the first time he did it. The first time he came back and said, well, look, you guys are just asking us questions about each other and you're trying to get us to fight and you're not doing us justice. That worked the first time. He tried to regurgitate that last night when he was being attacked, and it didn't work because the questions that were coming at him were of a different flavor than they were the first time. And he was being asked about his position on something and not what somebody else was thinking or what somebody else believed. And he tried to regurgitate this argument, and it didn't work. He actually got booed when he brought it up. So again, he missed it. Another opportunity the discretion would have been a better part of valor there, and just going ahead and they got to know. These people got to know by now. You're going to be targeted, whether it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, anytime. These are not moderators. These are celebrity newscasters that are trying to build their own reputation at your expense. You should know that. And
you know what? They're not even reporters. They're news readers. They don't even report the news. The old time reporters that we, with Walter Cronkite and all of these, the big guys that remember, they actually were very unbiased, reported facts, told us what the heck was going on. We could make our own decisions of what was going on. Now the networks, it's all about ratings. It's all about news. It's all about creating controversy, and it's not about telling us what we need to know.
Yeah, the big target, the big objective of the moderators last night was to paint every person on that stage as somebody who's a flip-flopper. Everything was, we have this tape of you saying this, and they play a tape, or we have this quote of you saying this, and now you're saying this. Aren't you really a flip-flopper? Aren't you really not the conservative you say you are? Or you're not the only guy that got the softball stuff last night was John Kasich. The questions they asked him, they might have well asked him what color his underwear was. He got nothing that was hardcore. He got none of this stuff. Are you a flip flopper here? Are you a flip flopper there? You said this once and now you're saying this? He didn't get any of that stuff. And Jeb Bush was I just thought a total embarrassment. This guy's trying so hard to sound intelligent, and he fails every time he tries.
Well, he's one of the ones that need to be eliminated. I don't care how much money he spent or how famous his name is. He needs to get off that stage and let us listen to the people that might actually become president.
Yeah, his comment about Rubio, they got into the big discussion last night was about immigration. And the most telling thing Jeb Bush did last night when he was asked about supporting Marco Rubio's amnesty plan with the Gang of Eight, and Jeb Bush said, I supported it because Rubio asked me to. Now, if that is not a rhino, I don't know what is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like Mitch McConnell. Obama comes to McConnell or Boehner. Hey, I really need you to support this. Okay. That's the equivalent of it. It wasn't that he thought it was good or anything else. In politics, he goes on, in politics, this is what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why politicians go back to their constituents and try to tell us that we don't know the process. When we come out, we say, why are you doing this? Well, you don't know the process. Well, you're not telling us the process. Apparently, the process is somebody comes to you and says, I need you to do this. And then you go to them when you need something, you say, I need you to do this. That's the process. And that's what people don't want. People don't want deals made anymore. They want stands made. They want, let's stand for something. Let's quit making deals. That, to me, is what's wrong with Trump. People haven't caught on to this. This guy thinks he's going to deal his way through all these problems. And that's just an extension of what the establishment's already doing.
Okay, hey, John, unfortunately, I have got to move along, but this was great. We got to continue this on Monday.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just tell your people, visit my website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and we'll talk to you on Monday, I guess.
Sounds great, John. You take care. We've been talking.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, time for another break. We'll be right back. It's time for Edward's Notebook. We'll pay some bills.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 72 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's on its way down to 49 degrees, but for you listeners that are in Chicago, Illinois, it is 6:02 and it's currently 35 degrees and overcast. Hey, folks, that's cold. Now, filling in for our own David Garrett is an associate of his, Corey Freeberg. Corey's a managing partner of the Freeberg Law Office, as well as of counsel for Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett, where our own David's at. He's also for Bristol, Haynes, and Associates. He's a licensed attorney in both California and Arizona. He focuses his practice on workers' compensation. His career has covered both defense and applicant plaintiff sides. He spent the last 4 years representing corporations and self-insured municipalities. We're going to talk about the wrong use of Form 1099 independent contractors today. Hey, Corey, welcome aboard. Good to have you here.
Hi, Robert. Thank you for having me.
You know, it's a I'm looking forward to this. This is something that, when I was in private practice as an accountant, used to deal with this issue a lot, and people just never got it. They always stuck their necks out and wound up getting in a lot of trouble. You know what? Why don't you kind of define the difference between an employee and an independent contractor, and then we can move on from there.
Well, and I feel today it's become an even greater problem as employers are trying to cut costs associated with the Affordable Care Act and other issues. So they are taking someone that would typically be an employee, someone that they are, having direct control over their activities, providing them with the tools that they need to do their job, and dictating how much that person is making, but they're classifying that person as an independent contractor rather than an employee. And the primary difference between an independent contractor and an employee, an independent contractor is going to have a distinct occupation outside of the business that is employing them. And we're seeing more and more as employers are getting these individuals to sign 1099 forms instead of W-2s that they're running into trouble.
Well, you know what? And I know that when I was in practice, I saw a lot of it. The IRS would come in and they'd audit, different firms, and they'd find that their independent contractors were actually employees, and those firms wound up getting in a lot of trouble when it started talking about, payroll taxes and withholding and all the other things that were involved. And the fact that they used to have I forget if it was a 21 or 23 point list that the IRS used to use for the determination of whether or not you were an employee or an independent contractor. But basically, it was, do you have keys? Do they provide you with an office? Do you have to follow their direction, or do you work independently? Do you have other customers? That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, the list is not set in stone, that's for sure. It's mostly based upon the common law definition, and it all really comes down to the right, or at least, maybe not necessarily right, but the potential power to control the activities of the individual. And so when you have someone that is providing a product to a company, and the individual is the one determining how that product is produced, that's an independent contractor. But when you have a company bringing someone in and saying, all right, we need you to do blank, and then telling them how to do it, the more that the company uses that power above the individual, the more likely they are to fall within the employee status. And that has, beyond the IRS, just at the state level and, dealing with insurance policies, you've got unemployment issues and workers' compensation benefit issues.
Yeah, and used to be you'd have to figure out who, how, where, and how much, and basically these guys needed to be independent and couldn't be dictated to. But one of the big things that I saw when I was in practice was when the IRS came down on on a firm that was misclassifying independent contract or employees as independent contractors. A lot of times it was because of retirement programs and benefit programs that they didn't want to include them in, and boy, did they get in trouble.
Yeah, that is certainly one aspect of it. And if I did obtain permission from one of my clients that I represented before the unemployment board on this issue. And he was working for a firm as an independent contractor. He was not an attorney, not any particular licensed profession, but he was working for them, and they tried to classify him as a 1099 employee. So when he was terminated and given termination papers, that was one little mistake, and probably a sign that he was an employee, not an independent contractor. He applied for unemployment benefits, which were denied. We went to trial on the issue, and we were victorious by showing that they provided things as a laptop. They even gave an email using their server. They dictated the hours that he worked. They dictated how the projects that he were to do were being completed, and the wage that he was receiving was not negotiable. He was told how much he was making, period, that's it.
So he wasn't billing them based on his services. It was just all set in stone.
He was billing them by the hour, instead of by project. And that we were able to link into the fact that, well, that's the same as someone receiving an hourly wage when they clock in. He was told to be there at 8 o'clock. And the unemployment board agreed with us. And ironically, it was a law firm that lost the issue. They appealed it and lost again. And so many of law firms are making this issue or making this mistake. I can only imagine how many other small and middle-sized business owners are also potentially making this mistake as they're trying to reduce costs in order to stay competitive in the market.
Well, you know what? And not only that, Corey, but you know what? At least in my experience, but I've been retired for a few years now. But basically, in my experience, what's happened is the IRS doesn't just jump on you right away. They've got a plan for this thing. They wait 2 or 3 years before they actually bring you in for audit on misclassified employees, and then they bring you in, and they not only hit you for the misclassification, they hit you for all that back withholding on the workers' comp. They hit you for everything.
Well, let's face it, the IRS does not have an interest in quickly calling you out on the mistakes that you may be making in your filings.
No.
They are just content letting the penalties run up until the 3-year statute hits.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now they add interest and penalties, and then the state comes in right behind them. The workers' comp issue is a big deal. Because that's one of the major reasons that they misclassify these employees to start with. It's workers' comp and it's benefit programs, right?
Exactly. And by not having appropriate workers' compensation insurance, now you have issues there to where you may end up being an uninsured employer, which come with huge penalties and liability. When someone is injured, they hire an attorney who's able to prove that this person was actually an employee. And we've seen cases typically revolving around tree trimming services, where they will try to classify people as independent contractors, misclassifying employees to their insurance policy holder. And then when someone gets hurt, that's when everything comes to the surface, and these companies are in a lot of trouble really quick, and any money they may have saved is quickly gone, and it ends up costing them way more in the long run.
So I'm guessing the solution for employers that don't want to misclassify employees would be for them to use a temp agency, right? And get these people from the temp agency so that they're employees of the temp agency and not of the firm.
Exactly. Temp agency is going to have workers' compensation coverage, and all those issues will be completely addressed by the temp agency. So that way, if the person is injured while on the job, it's through the temp agency's insurance policy. And that is going to be one awesome way that many small business owners can still save costs and the time that it takes to correctly have all their employees classified a certain way, especially if they're bringing them in for a short-term project, is to go through a temp agency, which exists for pretty much every skill set you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, I would, and I would certainly think so. And the nice part about a temp agency, because I used to hire people through a temp agency. What I'd do is I'd use the temp agency. If I didn't like them, they were gone before noon. And if they were gone before noon, I generally didn't have to pay for them. The ones that I did keep, I did pay for. And then if the ones that were good, I waited for the prescribed amount of time, hired them as employees, because it was a lot cheaper for me to have them as employees than to have them as a temp agency. And then it worked. I got the best of all worlds that way.
Yeah, and it will cost you a little bit more money on the short run, but in the long term, it is the best way to mitigate risk and ensure that your profits are secured, so that you don't have any giant expenses that surprise you down the road when you get hit with being uninsured for workers' compensation benefits, or when you get hit with going to trial against someone like me who's willing to litigate the issue of unemployment benefits and whether someone is an independent contractor or not.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that it also certainly minimizes wrongful discharges, right?
It does, yeah, absolutely. Because if a true independent contractor gets, they're not discharged. It's just your services are no longer necessary. Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Going through a temp agency, it's also going to be the same situation for those short-term projects. Otherwise, it is 100% worth the expense and time to make sure that your employees are correctly classified as employees instead of 1099 to try to take a couple of shortcuts.
So I'm guessing that the companies that are large enough to have an HR department, these people are astute enough to understand the difference between an independent contractor and an employee, or do they? And those same firms generally have an attorney, that's on a retainer. Do they actually pass when they're going to use an independent contractor type situation? Would they pass that by an attorney?
All the times I've run into this issue as an attorney, it's always been small to middle-sized businesses. I would assume that large corporations with an HR department, and especially once you get into extremely large where they got shareholders and they're publicly traded and they have in-house counsel, things are being done correctly. And I have not had a case come across my desk where it's against such a large corporation, where they have in-house counsel that made a mistake. I have not run across that situation. Well, this really applies to the small and middle-sized business owners who, as they're trying to compete with larger companies, for law firms, there's a lot of online services now becoming available and that are kind of encroaching upon their business. Any other type of business that you may be running, you have Amazon and Walmart and all these other larger corporations that are making it more and more difficult for you to earn money. So they're trying to find ways around that. And they've been doing that recently by hiring more, quote unquote, independent contractors, but then treating them as employees, giving them a desk, a laptop, telling them how to do their job. And when it comes to that person getting hurt at work, this is also important for anyone listening that is classified as independent contractor who feels they may be in the situation, they're hurt at work. Well, workers' compensation benefits is a California constitutional right. Just because they've been misclassified as independent contractor does not mean they should not receive benefits.
So what happens in a case like that? The employee who was misclassified goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Hey, did you get hurt at work?" And they say, "Well, yeah, I did." Well, this is a workers' comp claim. It's not covered by your insurance. And then the workers' comp finds out. Does that employee not get covered because the employer was trying to get around the corner on it, or does the employee get covered and the employer gets visited?
Well, it will automatically be denied, and it's going to be a situation where, unfortunately, they're going to have to retain an attorney because automatically it's going to be denied. You're an independent contractor, not an employee. The insurance company has the interest of keeping the person classified that way as well once they speak with the employer. So, the insurance company is going to deny liability for those workers' compensation benefits. Now, when you hire an attorney, litigate the issue, and if the board determines this person was actually an employee, now you have the issue of potential workers' compensation fraud, depending upon how intentional the actions were by the employer, versus, their policy, their insurance company dropping them the very following year because they misrepresented the number of employees they had.
Oh, gotcha. And then I'm guessing also that in that description that we just had, since the insurance company is not going to cover that because they weren't really insured and there was a fraud committed here, that should that person be deemed an employee, that the employer is going to be liable for all those medical expenses.
Well, the fraud depends upon how intentional it was.
Uh-huh.
So, one instance where I've seen where they pretty much classified every employee as 1099 independent contractors, even though they started losing many of these disputes. That's now bordering on the issue of fraud. Now, if it's unintentional, then the insurance company will still be liable, and there'll be penalties and fines against the employer for misrepresenting the number of employees they had to their insurance company. But ultimately, that's going to be an issue between them and their insurance company. The insurance company still has a duty to defend against this claim once the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board determines that the person was an employee.
And now, you know what?
Typically. That's all. These are all general. There's always instances where it can go screwy, and that may not be the case. And then the employer may be determined that they're uninsured, and then the state comes after them for all the expenses.
And that's what, and I'd like to talk about that next. We're getting ready to go on a commercial break. When we come back, I'd love to set up a scenario where, we have to recognize that a lot of these companies that get caught in this mess with regard to misclassification, the result could be that it's so costly it puts them out of business. I'd like to address that. But before we do that, I'd like you to give out contact information, firm information for yourself. We've already, Bloomberg's already got a commercial going on us. I'd like to get some stuff out for you right now while we're talking.
Yeah, mine is the Freeburg Law Office. You can contact me at 909-333-1527, and I am proudly representing injured employees.
And we're talking to Corey Freeburg, filling in for David Garrett on the law. We're going to be right back after these brief messages with Corey. We're going to talk some more about misclassification of employees and workers' comp. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 70 degrees here in the heart of the inland, tongue-tied, in the heart of the Inland Empire. But you know what? If you're one of our listeners in Paris, France, I want you to know you got to get a life, folks. It's 1:23 a.m. tomorrow. For God's sakes, go to bed. We actually record this. You could listen to one of our archive shows, but if you're there, it's currently 46 degrees and it's raining. Now, we're talking to our fill-in today for David Garrett, Corey Freeberg. And Corey's an attorney, managing partner of the Freeberg Law Office, as well as counsel for Blomberg, Benson and Garrett, and Bristol Haynes and Associates. He's licensed in both California and Arizona. We've been talking about misclassification of employees and workers' comp. Hey, Corey, you got the microphone.
Well, thanks for bringing me back after the commercial break. It's nice to know that you didn't hang up on me while that was running.
No, I would never. You know what? If I hung up on you, I'd just go into a panic. There's so much going on this side of the stuff. I'm too old for that. Anyway, Corey, before we left on the break, I was mentioning there are a lot of people, especially they're small and medium-sized businesses, they get caught up in this misclassification, whether it's accidental or if it's on purpose. And as a result, because of interest and penalties, the feds and the state and workers' comp and all these things, they wind up very nearly having to either go bankrupt or go out of business. Is there any negotiating for honest mistakes in this area?
Well, there is, but it's very, very limited, and that's between the employer and their insurance company, because the insurance company is always going to be slightly afraid of running into an issue where they're accused of bad faith, because then they can civilly, they can be the civil implications of an insurance company being determined to have done something in bad faith. It blows all policy limits out of the water. Recovery is almost unlimited. And some of the insurance bad faith cases that have come down have huge, huge awards. But if there is an intent to continually misclassify employees and an intent to do so to essentially defraud your workers' compensation insurance company, then there are criminal proceedings that are going to be going against the owners of this company. Then there are civil issues that are going to be brought up, and the company is eventually going to be bankrupt, bottom line. And you cannot be running a successful business knowingly underreporting the number of employees you have to your insurance company.
So, and then I'm guessing that once the IRS gets, well, actually, I don't know who actually gets you first. Is it workers' comp when they come in and do an audit of your employees, and then all of a sudden they tell the state that they got a problem, and the state tells the feds, or where does that usually start?
Well, it varies. I mean, it all depends upon how many employees you have getting hurt. That's why we, all the cases that you regularly see in the workers' compensation monthly newsletters tend to involve tree trimming services, because that's a highly risky business, and a lot of employees in that field do unfortunately get injured while on the job. And as a result, obtaining insurance for that type of business is extremely expensive. So a lot of companies do succumb to the temptation to underreport the number of employees they have. Now, when that may happen when they get a new policy, a couple months later they have an employee getting hurt, then it comes out that it was intentional defrauding of their insurance company, and then the the criminal proceedings begin against the employer, and the insurance company is going to typically state that they were, not liable for all of these employees, but that's going to be an entirely different issue that is litigated through the civil courts.
Mm. Well, you know what? I guess it's a matter of, this is an area you just don't want to make a mistake in, because it sounds to me that whether it is an honest mistake or not, the result can be catastrophic.
Absolutely. I mean, bottom line, any determination that an employer was illegally uninsured for workers' compensation benefits is going to be catastrophic to their business. It just will be. Especially for a small, middle-sized business, they're not going to be able to survive it. Their employees are going to be facing criminal action. Now, the state does have an agency that will come in and still provide their employees with the workers' compensation benefits that the California Constitution guarantees to all these employees. Mm. But then they are going to be proceeding civilly to collect the amount spent from the employer. Gotcha.
No.
And like I said, all these cases that I've had, I've always been on the individual side. I have not defended a corporation against these issues, and so I haven't really had to see how bad it can really get for a corporation, small, medium, or large, when they classify too many of their employees as independent contractors. I've only been on the side where I'm able to prove this 1099 quote-unquote independent contractor is actually an employee and entitled to various benefits.
And it's usually a result of the employee being hurt in some way, and they make a workers' comp claim and is not honored. Is that usually what goes on?
Exactly, that and or terminated.
Well, terminated. So that would be unemployment, right?
Yes, I've done both.
And so I'm guessing that if you had somebody misclassified and you terminated them and they turned around and claimed unemployment, now the state's going to come in and say, hey, what's going on here? We've got this claim, and who is this person? When did you hire them? How much money did they make? And why didn't you have them on the books?
Yeah, I would. I mean, that was for unemployment litigation, quote unquote, because it's typically a quick, short hearing, about an hour long in front of an administrative law judge. That went all morning and all afternoon. They hired an attorney to show up. It was actually against the law firm. The judge even mentioned afterwards that it was the most intense litigation she's seen over unemployment issues in quite a while. And I was able to prove that my client, even though he signed a 1099 and there were payments to his corporation that they encouraged him to make, that in fact he was an employee. And so the state began paying him unemployment benefits. Now, the fact that they weren't withholding it from his paychecks was not an issue that the state made us address. That was something that I presume is against the employer. And it was actually, it was a law firm who made this mistake. So if a law firm can make this mistake and lose, not only at the trial level, but also on appeal, and continuously lose throughout all this litigation, then it really concerns me about other industries that may also be making the same mistake.
Well, now let's talk about a law firm for a minute. Because, being an attorney is like being a doctor. There's so many different specialties and things. Would for the lack of a better term, a general practitioner attorney, would they necessarily know what the employment laws are?
Well, they should have a basic knowledge of it just from law school. You come out of law school and you become licensed in the state of California, you are able to practice virtually every area of law except for patent law, which requires an additional bar. But you need to be competent in any area of law that you're going to be practicing, and it's really not an excuse to say that you don't know the law. But in this particular case, it wasn't an attorney. It was someone that they had working as a clerk. It was not a licensed attorney that they were claiming was an independent contractor. It was a clerk.
Ah, gotcha. You know what? It's sort of like it's not a matter of will they get you. It's a matter of when will they get you if you're playing games with them.
Exactly. And how much the independent contractor is put at a disadvantage. And if they're fired and he gets another job right away, he or she, then it may not be an issue. But ultimately, by using and abusing the 1099 use of an independent contractor to run your daily business, it will catch up with every business owner eventually. There's no way around it.
Yeah. You know what? And it's if you have a successful business and you're enjoying the fruits of all of those risks that you've been taking and the investments that you made, isn't it a horrible thing to be put out of business because you tried to cut that corner?
Yeah, exactly. And it's really a shame and a disgrace to especially in this instance, because it was a law firm. It was really almost shameful that a law firm would be willing to put such a huge risk just for the sake of saving themselves some paperwork. Lawyers should be used to mounds of paperwork, and this law firm decided to classify every person that they had come in as a clerk as an independent contractor.
So since it was a law firm that committed this oversight, is that an issue for that firm with regard to the state bar?
I would assume so. I don't know what action the state bar has taken, And because it was litigated before a judge, I didn't feel it was my moral obligation to report anything to the state bar, because it ultimately would be up to the judge's discretion.
Mm-hmm.
But as an attorney myself in my own practice, I would definitely fear that my license could be at risk if I were to intentionally engage in this practice and essentially abuse the 1099 independent contractor process. It's there for a certain purpose, and when you use it to go beyond that, yeah, I would be afraid that not only my business is at risk, but also my license.
Well, you know what? When you start thinking about having to go to college and then going to law school and the investment that you make in that and all the study and work, and then the tension of trying to pass the bar and getting that done and everything it takes to become an attorney, boy, to put all of that in jeopardy over a stupid decision, boy, that's a tough road to go.
Greed is a very powerful thing.
Man, I'll say. Hey, so we've got 45 seconds before we have to say sayonara to you, Corey. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your firm, your practice, and leave it with some contact information?
Well, yeah, once again, my name is Corey Freeberg with the Freeberg Law Office, and I proudly representing injured employees in the Inland Empire. My focus is directed specifically with towards peace officers, firefighters, hospital personnel, anyone that is really a first responder and takes care of us when we are in need. But I do accept all workers' compensation claims if I feel they're valid. I don't accept every case that walks in the door. But I am more than happy to represent anyone that has legitimate injury on the job in the Inland Empire. And if you're an independent contractor who feels you may have been misclassified, I'm also not afraid of taking on those cases as well.
Well, give out that contact information, Corey.
The phone number again is 909-333-1527.
And do you have a website?
No, not yet. I did, and it was taken down, so I'm getting it back up.
I got you covered. Hey, Corey, thank you so much for filling in for David today.
It was a pleasure. I'm happy to be of service, and it was a great pleasure to talk with you about the issue.
I appreciate it very much. You go out and have a great day. Stay safe, stay happy, make everybody's life around you better because you're in it, will you?
I will certainly try. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. Now, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be dealing with the birthdays for today. We're also going to do the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back, folks, right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time, currently 70 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us in San Diego, California, it is currently partly cloudy and 67 degrees. You know what? But right now, it's time for the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the tip today is successful bosses act quickly to reward good work. Now, here's the thing. One simple action can dramatically increase any manager's success in gaining the support and engagement of employees, recognizing great work. That means calling out excellent accomplishments by your employees right away and doing so in consistent and regular increments. Now, a handwritten note trumps an email. Public recognition in a meeting or peer group makes people feel even more appreciated, and an award presented in a public setting is most effective in conveying a sense of a good job properly acknowledged. Not only does recognition have a powerful effect on those being called out, it also has a motivating effect on peers who see great work being rewarded. Yeah, and that's an absolute fact, folks. Well, you know what? It's time for the secret daily teaching for your life. And this, you heard me say it every day. You hear me say this. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You control what goes on in your life on a daily basis, the good, the bad, the success, the failures, the rich, the poor. You control it all. So the teaching for today is, can you consider for just a moment that there are wonderful things ahead for you? Can you put total trust and faith in the universe and know you are so loved and that everything that happens is all happening for you? Because that is absolutely the case. Just know that. It's all about that positive mental attitude. Just know it. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. It's Friday, thank goodness. And it's January the 29th, and it is somebody's birthday. Okay, and we've really got a good one here. This person was born in 1954, a TV host, producer, and philanthropist, best known for her self-titled, multi-award-winning talk show, Happy Birthday, Oprah Winfrey. And born in 1968, an actor, film producer, writer, and director. He's married to model Christy Turlington. Happy birthday to Edward Burns. And then finally, born in 1970, an actress and fashion model, she became known for her performance in Drugstore Cowboy and her role in the 1997 film Boogie Nights. Happy birthday, Heather Graham. Well, what happened today in history, do you know? Well, on January 29th, 1845, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe is published in the New York Evening Mirror. And in 1978, Sweden outlaws aerosol sprays due to their harmful effect on the ozone layer, becoming the first nation to enact such a ban. Of course, that, went worldwide, so you know what's going on. And in 2002, in his State of the Union address, U.S. President George W. Bush describes regimes that sponsor terror as an axis of evil. Well, our quote for today comes from Lewis Mumford. Lewis says, humor is our way of defending ourselves from life's absurdities by thinking absurdly about them. Yeah. Go figure, right? That's exactly the way it goes. Well, now it is time for our interesting but useless facts. This is getting to be a popular area of the show, and I like it a lot. I hope you do too. So let's get right to it. Did you know that the first Eskimo Bible was printed in Copenhagen in 1944? Or, I'm sorry, 1744. How about this? When a woman is pregnant, her senses are all heightened. Boy, you can say that again. I can remember when my wife was pregnant with our first child. This was like 50 years ago, folks. I can remember being sent out in the middle of the night for hot fudge sundaes. She was craving things. All of her senses, oof. Did you know the average elephant weighs less than the average blue whale's tongue? Yeah, give that some thought. How about this? You know that Mount Athos in northern Greece likes to call itself an independent country. It has a population of about 4,000, all men, by the way. No females of any kind, including animals, are allowed. There are 20 monasteries within a space of 20 miles. Wow, that's kind of interesting if you think about it. Yeah. How about this? You know that karate, generally considered a Japanese martial art, did not come to Japan until 1916. Prior to this time, it was practiced solely by the Okinawa Islanders, who had developed it centuries earlier as a means of weaponless defense against the Japanese. Go figure, right? Well, let's see here. How about this? Did you know that there are 132 rooms in the U.S. White House? 132 rooms. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if that includes the residents. I'll bet it does. Did you know that the most remote island in the world is Tristan da Cunha, which is above the subantarctic zone? I don't know if you cared. I don't. How about a nihilist believes in nothing, a nihilist? And how about this? The military used toilet paper to camouflage their tanks in Saudi Arabia during the Desert Storm War. Now, I didn't know that. Did you know that? That's kind of interesting. How about this? The red spot on the 7-Up cans comes from an inventor, or from its inventor. He was an albino. Albinos have red eyes. Give that a thought. You know, the common goldfish is the only animal that can see both infrared and ultraviolet light. That I didn't know that. How about this? The loop on a belt that holds the loose end is called a keeper. That's interesting. How about this? You know, a bee could travel 4 million miles at 7 miles per hour on the energy it would obtain from 1 gallon of nectar. Now that is kind of, you know what? If you think about insects and animals and things, you know, they are really built, you know, in a way that is intriguing and interesting. Matter of fact, so are we, for that matter. So let me leave you with this. Herrings produce air bubbles from their rectums called FRTs that are louder than a jet engine. Wow. Now that is a scary thought. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to deal with the emails, and I'm going to answer them for you. The first one comes from Allison Wilson from Saratoga, California. She's asking about a home sale problem. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics, where at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time, it is still 70 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us in Long Beach, California, it is currently 65 degrees and partly cloudy. Well, time for me to get down to the wire here. We are going to answer your emails. I want to remind you that this is an entertainment section of the show. We want to encourage you to always talk to a licensed professional before you do anything. They're generally always going to save you more money than they cost you. They're going to give you peace of mind that you sleep at night because of their necessity, their licensing necessity to have errors and omissions insurance, which is the same thing as malpractice insurance, by the way. Just want you to know that. Always use them. It's a good idea. Well, my first email today comes from Allison Wilson from Saratoga, California, asking about a home sale problem. It says, I sold a residence that qualifies for tax-free gain, but the sales agent issued a 1099 reporting the sale amount to the IRS. If I include it in gross income, then even after deducting the tax-free amount from that, my adjusted gross income will go so high that I'll lose many other deductions. What can I do about that? Well, listen, when you sell a home that you owned and used as a primary residence for 2 of the prior 5 years, up to $250,000 a gain on that sale is tax-free, $500,000 on a joint return. Now, this amount is simply not reported on your return, so you don't have the problem that you described. You don't have to report the 1099 anywhere on your return as long as none of it is taxable. If part of the gain is taxable, only that taxable portion is included in your gross income. So hopefully that helps you. Next email comes from Nicole Yu from Lansing, Michigan, asking about donating a house and says, I've owned a house as an investment property for several years. It has declined in value, and I wonder if I can do better by donating it to a charity instead of selling it. Well, Nicole, if you want to make a charitable donation, sell the house first and donate the sale proceeds. If you donate it to charity, you'll receive a charity deduction only for its market value, which has a cash value equal to the amount of the deduction times your marginal tax rate and no loss deduction. So let me give you an example of that. If the house that cost $150,000 is worth $100,000 and you are in the top 35% tax bracket, a sale nets $100,000 cash plus a $50,000 capital loss deduction, deductible either in the current year or in subsequent years, depending on other capital gains transactions. But a donation obtains just a $100,000 charity deduction worth only $35,000 cash, subject to adjusted gross income limitations. So, look at it that way. Next email comes from John Berry from Chula Vista, California, asking about earnest money. Says, if a person deposits earnest money on the purchase of a house, then backs out of the deal and forfeits the money, is the loss deductible? And is the money taxable income to the seller? You know what, John? Whether or not the lost earnest money is deductible depends on the intent behind the purchase agreement. If the house was to be purchased to be used as a personal residence, the loss is a personal loss and is not deductible. But if it was to be used as an investment or business property, then the loss can be deducted as an investment or business loss. The purchase money kept by the seller is taxable income to the seller. So hopefully that answers your question. Well, my last email today comes from Callista Britt from Skokie, Illinois, asking about an IRA conversion, and writes, I would like to convert my traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, but am over the $100,000 income limit for doing so. However, if my husband and I file separate returns, it'll put me under the limit. Will this work? Well, Callista, unfortunately, the answer to your question is no. A taxpayer who files married filing separately instead of jointly is not eligible to convert a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. So hopefully that's answered your question and it helps you. I want to remind you to go out there and get our app. It's free. If you have an Apple product, just go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is right there at no cost to you. Download it. You can listen to our show live. If we're broadcasting live, it'll tell you. Or you can listen to any of our archive shows, and you can even chat with us while we're broadcasting, and I'd appreciate it. If you have a Windows product or a Android product, go to googleplay.com and do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live, and the app is right there, and it's absolutely free, and we'd appreciate you doing that, and we'd appreciate you telling all your friends about the app's availability as well. Now, on my next show, which is going to be on Monday, John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and I are talking about politics on the Conservative Syndicate simulcast that we do every Monday and Friday. And John Hanson will be here, that little old wine drinker. He'll be talking about food and wine. Now, please tell all your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.